Hi everyone, this is Sally Harris, and today I want to talk about codependency. Some of you may have felt like you were codependent when your children were a little bit younger. Maybe you've been through some difficulty and you're coming out the other side, or maybe you're preparing for the other side when things are good again and you want to make sure that you don't fall into that same trap. So for those of you that are new here, again, my name is Sally, and this channel exists because I am a firm believer that every mom deserves a support system. And so if you're watching today, welcome. So let's talk about codependency. I think that every mom, if I just speak for myself, I do believe that I was also codependent when my kids were younger. And I think the reason part of it is I was a single mom for a long time. And as a single mom, you are the end all be all, right? You're trying to be everything to all of your kids. And I know a lot of you are single moms. And so, but maybe you are married, but you were the primary parent or whatnot. Or maybe you were having your child, fulfill that need that you were not getting in your marriage. Just having that closeness where you had that bond with your child. You did everything. They went everywhere with you, all of that kind of stuff. So what I want to talk about with codependency is it's definitely dysfunctional, right? But until you are able to define it and realize that that's what you're doing, you don't see it. And there's a book called Codependency No More, Melody Beattie, Beattie, I believe it's her last name. I read that book years ago, would highly recommend it if you are falling into this camp and want some specific resource around that. So let's talk a little bit about how what a codependent relationship looks like. Well, you're a people pleaser. If you have a codependent relationship, you are definitely a people pleaser in that relationship. So you will do whatever it takes to make that person happy. There's also, number two is a lack of boundaries, right? So you're letting them kind of run the show per se. And sometimes for some of you, that may be a child that is in their teenager years. And for some of you, that may be a child that is 30, 40 years old. If they're still running the show because you are codependent, you're afraid to say no. So there's no boundaries. There's also, number three is poor self-esteem on your part, actually probably on both parts, but I'm speaking to you as the mom. And so there is the poor self-esteem because you really don't know who you are. You're more concerned with taking care of them. And caretaking obviously falls into that. So number four is lack of self-image. Again, that kind of goes back to the self-esteem, but really the self-image of you as a mom, as a woman, as a human being. Like, who are you, right? What do you like to do? So you don't really know what these things are because you've been so codependent on your child. And I think I can honestly say for every mom, nearly every mom that I do coach, majority of them do have some of that, right? Because they have been codependent and they don't know how to set the boundaries for fear of upsetting the child. And yes, when you have a toxic, quote unquote, toxic child, toxic relationship, some kids handle the boundaries well, others do not, and it sets them off. That's a whole nother situation. So the last thing I want to mention about the warning signs of what that looks like with the codependency is dependency. So you are completely dependent on your son or daughter for your happiness is really what it boils down to. So people pleasing, lack of boundaries, poor self-esteem and self-image and dependency. Those are some big ones. And some common behaviors also can include manipulation. So let's say you're codependent with your son, adult son or daughter, and there's a lot of manipulation going on because on both sides, because whether you realize that's what you're doing or not, you're wanting to please them in whatever they want you to do, and they're manipulating you and you're allowing it. So that is a big one. There can even be emotional bullying when it comes to that, to be honest. Usually, I don't want to say that moms don't ever do it because I'm sure some of you do, and maybe you don't realize it, maybe you do realize it, but it definitely needs to stop if you want to have a really good relationship. Caretaking to the detriment of yourself. Our own wellness is so crucial as a human being, as a woman, as a mom, to take care of our family, to take care of ourselves, right? But that you caretake to this child or children to the point where you're not taking care of you. And how many of you are doing that, right? I would love to hear comments below if that is you, if you're brave enough to admit that. Just because that's what you're doing doesn't mean you can't stop doing that, right? And then another thing is excusing abusive or bad behavior. So let's say your adult son or daughter, you have this codependent relationship, you're relying on them for your happiness, you've kind of lost yourself in the process, but you also excuse their behavior because it's just the way it's always been, that's just who they are, and it's okay. And you and I both know it's not okay. And every situation is different. So fill in the blank what abusive or bad behavior looks like. That's individual to your family. But I hope that helps, because really looking at what the signs are of a codependent relationship, and then what are some of those behaviors that are actually happening. So I'm hoping that some of those will define that for you. And again, check out that book, Codependent No More. That's a good one. If you are looking for any type of coaching, if you'd like to chat with me to see if we're a good fit, we will put the link below, and we can connect and see if we're a good fit, and we can walk through a little bit more of your situation, and I can tell you how I can help you. So I hope that helps you today, and take care, and I'll see you next time.